Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hangout with Coach Kerry. This is episode 77, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the number one thing that I think you need to do in order to accelerate your business quickly. I suspect if you've come across my website or this video, you are an entrepreneur and you might be looking for tips and strategies to be more successful in your business. Well, if that's the case, then you have landed in the right place. My name is Kerry Brown, and I am a business coach. I've been a business coach for 18 years, helping people just like you be successful. So today is a little bit more of my musings. I'm on this episode myself today. Quite often I have VIP panelists, but today I wanted to share with you really kind of my own experience personally as a business owner, and then also what I've experienced working with my clients over the last 18 years. Is that when you find yourself at that place where you seem to be kind of stuck, where activities kind of just slow a little bit, you're dealing with the day-to-day every single day, but there really isn't that momentum moving you forward. And the fact of the matter is, it's hard to sustain that. It's really hard to sustain that on your own, because let's face it, what you do today doesn't really matter. There isn't somebody looking over your shoulder. There's not somebody here saying, well, you said you were going to do this today and you didn't. At the end of the day, you can say, well, I can do it tomorrow. I can do it tomorrow. So we tend to put off things and deal with the more urgent and demanding of our time. Important, absolutely, yes, most of the time. But it's a piece to work on your business, to actually grow your business. And why is that? Well, again, because we have those distractions all the time. So I want to share with you a personal story for me. Last week, I attended a retreat, a 3-day retreat. I had to fly there. I had to invest in a hotel and accommodation and all of that kind of stuff. And I have to tell you, it has transformed me in terms of my level of motivation and inspiration. Because what happens is we get stuck in that place where we're doing the same old, same old, same old. And we, in fact, might be, and I'm a fan of these little cards to remind you, we get overwhelmed. Because we get overwhelmed doing everything, we end up using or saying those excuses. I'm running out of time. I don't know what to work on. And so I invested. I was really no different than you. For a long time, I've been wanting to offer some other programs online for people to be able to work with me versus one-to-one, and be able to offer them my knowledge, all of my years of training, education, and experience coaching at a price point that's more affordable for a lot of entrepreneurs. And yet I never seemed to be able to get any traction on it. I'd start with some ideas and they just never really sort of got rolling. And of course, it's very easy when you're in that place of being busy in your business and not working on your business, that you're unclear what strategies to use. So you need some clarity. And so one of the things that I discovered is that by attending this particular retreat and then connecting with people and in fact investing in the coaching and training I'm going to be getting from these people, is that it gave me what I call clarity. And clarity is around, okay, what are my actual next steps versus all the steps that I see there? What are my actual next steps? And those are really key things for you to know, because what happens is we do get overwhelmed when we're unclear what our first step is. So then when I was clear what my next steps were, then that outlined what were the strategies that I was going to employ. What were the first things that I needed to do? So my strategies, and then of course immediately my action steps. Those were the key pieces in it. And then of course, being part of this group now, I have accountability. I have accountability, meaning I'm making commitments. I can publicly declare what I'm going to do, and other people are going to see that. And in fact, I'm going to feel a level of responsibility and accountability to that group. And it's the reason why I've had a coach for a lot of my years as in business as well, is because it's given me that ability to get clarity on what I needed to work on, my strategy and my accountability. So on my way back on the airplane from this particular retreat, I reflected on this whole notion of how important it is to regularly have an opportunity to be able to check in with someone or be part of a group where there's that regular check-in. And that isn't just a check-in to go and meet with people and network. That's totally different. What we're talking about here is getting clarity on on the strategies to move you forward if there's stumbling blocks along the way. Now, I don't want this to sound like this is a promotion for me as a coach, because really what I want you to do is I want you to think about what's going to be best for you. So if you're ready to accelerate your business, if you're ready to learn, if you're ready to not go it alone, because that's what so many of you are doing, and it gets very lonely, and it's really hard to sustain momentum and inspiration, then you need to find a tribe. You need to find someone or a bunch of people to be able to encourage you and support you. So for me, for an example, I went to this particular retreat and realized that the people there were people just like me, that they too needed that inspiration, that motivation. They needed the clarity on what next steps to do. And I came back so inspired that, in fact, I don't think the plane needed the gas to be able to fly the plane home. I was actually able to, I could have been able to get there home on my own fuel, my own energy. So I've come back inspired, enthused, ready to actually work longer days, not let myself off the hook, because it's so easy to let ourselves off the hook. It's so easy to say tomorrow will be okay, or next week, or what ends up being it's next month, and then 6 months passes, and then next year. And I will tell you that I have had, total transparency here, I have had this idea of taking my knowledge, my experience, my expertise online for years now. And in the early days, some of the stumbling blocks were the technology, the platforms they were very confusing and incredibly expensive. So, that I'm not saying that's an excuse, but that was the reason why it wasn't really the timing for me, because I have a full roster of coaching clients that I work with. And so the time to take to actually learn that and learn those platforms, it's going to take a lot of time. Well, today things have changed. Today there's a lot more user-friendly platforms and technologies to be able to use to do that. And I was still holding back from actually taking the step. So what did I have to do? I had to change it up. I had to be somewhere and be with people that challenged my notions around things, that made me look at things differently, to challenge my perspective, because we all fall in love with our own ideas so easily. And it's so easy to do that when we're actually talking to ourselves. Our rationale only comes from us. So one of the critical pieces of having other eyes on your business, again, whether it's in a group situation or whether it's one-on-one, is to actually challenge those notions and beliefs that you have. So that at the end of the day, you know that if you make a decision to move forward, it's based on not just your perspective, but other people's perspective. It's going to teach you how to be that critical piece, that critical thinker in your business. Because if you are only listening to yourself, you are going to let yourself off the hook. You're actually going to give yourself reasons and excuses to not move something forward. And basically just say yes if that's been you. If you have set yourself out to do something and in the past haven't done it, and in fact maybe over and over again it's the same thing that shows up, you're letting yourself off the hook. So today, this episode was about the key thing to accelerate your business quickly. And the key thing is, don't do it alone. Find a group, find an organization, find a coach, find someone who's going to help you move your business forward and accelerate it. I am so excited. I'm enthused. I've got a clear picture now of where I'm going to go. I've got my timelines all laid out. And I tell you, there's nothing more motivating than having that clarity to know what my absolute next step is. So my challenge for you is, what do you need to do to move yourself forward in your business? What's been holding you back? Have you had the same dream or the same idea about some other concept for your business, some other direction to take your business, some other product to offer to your clients, and it's been stalled for a long time? What do you need to do in order to change things up? Because just saying, well, all I need to do is do it, has that worked for you in the past? Has that actually got you doing those things that you've been putting off? Because let's face it, there's going to be a learning curve, and then you're going to come across challenges. So you need to be in a place where you are so inspired, you're going to find a way around those challenges. Really, the question is, does it matter enough to you to align your life around it? And left to our own devices, quite quickly that motivation to align our life around it wanes. So what I want to do today is I want to encourage you to find a place, find that workshop, find that program, find that coach, whatever it is, to accelerate your business so that you are not doing it on your own. You actually have an opportunity to be able to be inspired, be motivated, and sustain it over a long period of time. It's so important. So I just want to recap all the benefits. So, new way of thinking, new perspectives. Day in and day out coaching my clients, I'm constantly challenging them on their beliefs. They'll say something as if it's a fact, if it's a statement. And really what I want them to do is I want to challenge that. So that will happen. You'll find also like-minded people, either in a coach or in a group, that people who understand where you're at, who know what you're going through, who've actually done it maybe and helping you move forward. You're going to get clarity, as I've talked about that already, clarity on what are those next action steps and what are going to be the strategies you're going to do to employ it. It's going to challenge your thinkings and beliefs, and at the end of the day, you're going to be inspired and motivated. So I really encourage you today, I challenge you today, it's Monday morning, 9 o'clock, for you to decide today that you are going to find your inspiration and motivation other places other than looking for it totally by yourself. Now, one of the places you can do that is if you go to my website, HangOutWithCoachKerry.com, and you'll find 76, soon to be 77 videos there. That if you make that a weekly habit to be able to go in and listen to that, to get that information, that's one way. And if you find that doesn't sustain it, you may need some real live contact. You may need a program that's going to walk you through some of the steps, where you're going to be part of a team, part of a group, or you may actually be a person that needs to work one-on-one. And if that's the case, please reach out to me and see whether there's a fit for what I offer and what you're looking for. But please, please don't go it alone. You know, I think just in closing here, I want to remind you all of that movie Castaway with Tom Hanks, where he's a FedEx executive and he is stranded, true story, on an island. And he's there for an incredibly long period of time. And one of the things he finds is he finds a volleyball, a Wilson volleyball. And what he does, he puts a bloody handprint, because his hand's cut, on that Wilson volleyball and puts a face in it. And that becomes his other person, because he needs someone to run ideas by. He needs someone to have a conversation with. He needs that challenge. So I'm going to challenge you to find your Wilson volleyball. So who's going to be that person that you can actually have that perspective, that light shone on your ideas and notions, and inspire and motivate you to hang in there and make something great of what it is you do. Until I talk to you next time, everyone, have an awesome and have an inspired week. All the very best. Bye-bye.